During a routine head count at 8:30 this morning, it was determined that several detainees were unaccounted for. Immediately upon discovery, OPSO activated emergency protocols and launched a coordinated response to locate and return these individuals to custody. We are actively working with local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies in a full-scale search operation.
11 inmates of the Orleans Parish Jail escaped custody overnight. Guards discovered the escape around 8:30 this morning during a head count. Sheriff Susan Hudson says the inmates were awaiting trial for violent crimes and they're considered dangerous.
Our top priority right now is the safety of the public and returning these individuals to our custody without delay.
One inmate, identified as Kendall Miles, has been recaptured. New Orleans Police Chief Ann Kirkpatrick says they weren't notified about it until 2 hours after it was discovered and said prompt notification was necessary.
When we learned about it, we knew the immediacy to at least inform the public. Even if we didn't have pictures ready and all of the names ready, we didn't have that either. But we need to let our public know.
The sheriff did not answer questions about why they took 2 hours to notify NOPD and 2.5 hours to notify the public.
When we were notified, we immediately offered any and all resources to the sheriff, and we have informed every single officer of the NOPD. And as of right now, we can confirm for you that NOPD was able to at least apprehend one of the escapees. I do not have a confirmation on the name just yet. The person obviously is not speaking.
11 Orleans Parish Jail inmates suspected of violent offenses escaped custody sometime overnight and have been on the run. The jail didn't learn about the escape until 8:30 this morning during a routine head count. Information continues to emerge about the escape. 2 have been caught. We know Louisiana State Police Troop NOLA caught one on Royal in the French Quarter. And WWL TV's Katie Moore says this is the second time on the run for Kendall Miles.
Kendall Miles was also arrested for escaping the Bridge City Center for Youth a short while ago, and then allegedly went on a violent crime spree after that. His case in particular was of great concern with Bridge City, and yet again, he's allegedly involved in an escape.
Amid the ongoing search for missing inmates from OPP, New Orleans Police Chief Ann Kirkpatrick issued a warning for residents to be observed until every escapee is back in custody.
There are a couple of things that we want to say to our public is that this is an urgent and a serious situation. Please be mindful. Please be mindful.
Chief Kirkpatrick says NOPD was not notified about the escape until 2 hours after the sheriff's office learned about it.
Keith Lewis, who was previously reported as an escaped detainee, was in a different cell. So he had been moved, but it had not been updated. So he is not on the run. There were 10, not 11. We have really hard-working deputies, but we're not going to tar and feather everybody with the same brush. We're going to find out exactly what happened, who's responsible, hold them accountable both administratively and criminally.
10 inmates of the Orleans Parish Jail escaped custody. Guards discovered the escape around 8:30 this morning during a head count. Sheriff Susan Hudson says the inmates may have had help from the inside.
We have indication that these detainees received assistance in their escape from individuals inside of our department.
The sheriff said that will be thoroughly investigated, but the first priority is safely returning the escapees back to the jail. One inmate has been caught. That inmate, Kendall Miles, has a history of escapes, having escaped from the Bridge City Center for Youth in the past. All of the escapees should be considered dangerous, New Orleans DA Jason Williams told WWL TV.
I can tell you they are desperate because I know the charges they were facing and I know the sentences they were facing. And so they are desperate and they should be considered armed and dangerous.
New Orleans Police Chief Ann Kirkpatrick said they weren't notified until about 2 hours after the jailbreak was discovered and said prompt notification was necessary.
When we learned about it, we knew the immediacy to at least inform the public. Even if we didn't have pictures ready and all of the names ready, we didn't have that either. But we need to let our public know.
The sheriff did not answer questions about why they took 2 hours to notify NOPD and 2.5 hours to notify the public. The sheriff's office initially reported 11 escapees, then discovered one of the inmates they thought escaped had been moved to a different cell. While authorities are searching for 7 Orleans Parish prison escapees who remain on the run, local and state leaders are playing the blame game. Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry is pointing his finger at, among others, New Orleans District Attorney Jason Williams.
Prosecutors who are unprepared and delay cases for years must be addressed in this court system. 9 of the 10 escapees have been in the pretrial stages in OPCC for years now.
Meanwhile, local criminal justice officials are pushing back. The DA takes offense at the governor's accusation that he's somehow responsible for the jailbreak. In fact, he says it's not his job, but the state's to move violent convicts into state prisons.
He was left there sitting on the first floor of the jail.
Orleans Parish District Attorney Jason Williams personally prosecuted murder convict Derek Groves during his trial last year. Williams told WWL's Tommy Tucker that there's no reason why the state didn't put Groves in a state prison after his conviction.
This person could have been shipped off, and he wasn't. But I don't control that, and I don't understand why the governor would think that I would.
As for the escapees who were awaiting trial, Williams noted that the courts are still fighting a backlog created by the COVID pandemic.
Jury trials were suspended for over a year. The guy on his right, Leon Canizero, could have very easily reminded him of how long that shutdown lasted.
Ian Ozan, WWL First News. 4 down, 6 to go. Louisiana State Police captured another Orleans Parish prison escapee last night. Authorities found Gary Price in New Orleans early Monday evening. He'll now be transferred to a secure state prison. The New Orleans City Council meets today and will be discussing Friday's jail escape. WWL's Chris Miller reports.
The Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office is set to appear before the council. Councilmember Joe Giarrusso, leader of the Budget Committee, told WWL-TV that the sheriff has the money to address needs at the jail, so why didn't it happen?
The sheriff has a $14 million fund balance right now and has a millage. You can bond out against those for capital needs that doesn't involve the city at all.
Giarrusso said a full, transparent accounting is needed to restore public trust.
There will also be representatives from the NOPD, NOSEP, the city's 911 Commission, and Louisiana State Police at the meeting. It starts this morning at 10 o'clock in New Orleans City Hall. The total reward for tips leading to the arrest of the 6 remaining fugitives is $20,000. If you have any information about where the escapees are, call 911.
Cops have brought charges against a jail employee allegedly linked to the escape of 10 Orleans Parish prison inmates.
We executed an arrest on an individual who is, in fact, a maintenance worker or was a maintenance worker at the facility.
Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrow says Sterling Williams was booked on 1 count of malfeasance in office and 10 counts of simple escape. He's accused of shutting off the water to the cell where inmates tore a toilet off the wall and broke into a service corridor. Williams claims one of the escapees threatened to stab him if he didn't help. Murrow says he should have reported the threat. One of the biggest unanswered questions about the jailbreak is why did it take so long for the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office to notify the public about what happened? The jailbreak happened around 1 in the morning, but the Sheriff's Office didn't even notice until 8:30, and they didn't notify the public for another couple of hours. Today, officials from the Sheriff's Office admitted their own procedures or lack thereof may have led to that delay.
Without getting into the complexities of day-to-day, the count varies.
According to Sheriff's Office Chief of Corrections Jay Mallett, the first meal in the jail is served around 5:15 in the morning. But he told members of the New Orleans City Council that the first head count happens at shift change. Sometimes those head counts happen even later in the morning, depending on what appointments inmates have.
They may be going to a medical appointment. They may be going to court. They may have attorney-client visits. So there's a lot going on at the crack of dawn.
That admission left council members stunned.
So you're saying that it's not unusual to have counts be off?
It's not unusual.
Ian Ozan, WWL First News. Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrow says she wants to find ways to lower the inmate population at the Orleans Parish Jail.
We've got to reduce the number of people that are in that jail.
The Attorney General says that's something the state needs to take a look at, from finding ways to speeding up trials for defendants awaiting their day in court or other means of getting a better guard-to-inmate ratio.
I'm looking right now at solving, for some particular issues that I think are going to help us make sure that the facility is secure and properly staffed.
Chris Miller, WWL First News.
5 escaped inmates remain at large after the prison break in New Orleans. 5 are behind bars. WWL-TV's Brandon Walker tells us 2 other people are also facing charges for allegedly helping escapees.
Authorities booked Courtney Harris from New Orleans and Corvante Baptiste of Slidell on accessory charges. State police say Harris allegedly drove 2 of the fugitives to locations across New Orleans, trying to keep them from law enforcement. Baptiste, meantime, is accused of taking care of an inmate who authorities say hid in her home.
Fallout continues at the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Susan Hudson has suspended her re-election campaign amid a growing scandal over inmate escapes and a lack of transparency. So, what does this mean for her political future?
Sheriff Hudson says she's stepping back from the campaign trail to focus on internal failures, but has stopped short of saying she's out of the race entirely. And political analyst Clancy Dubose says this is not just a smart move, it's the right move.
She's focusing on the investigation, which is the right thing to do.
Dubose says as time is of the essence to find the remaining escapees, Sheriff Hudson has time to decide if she will go about re-election.
Not having to make a decision right now in the midst of all of this to decide whether she wants to stay in the race.
Courtney P., WWL First News.
We are joined by Raphael Goyeneche, president of the Metropolitan Crime Commission. Rafi, welcome to the show.
Great to be back, Newell.
I know you've had your finger on the pulse of this situation and investigation. I think you have access to some information that we've not heard before. Let's go through, if you would, kind of the timeline of this escape and how they were able to pull this off.
We know that sometime after bedtime on Thursday, May the 15th, which really morphed into Friday, May the 16th, because at 12:30 a.m., an inmate was captured on video tugging on the door of a closed cell. It's supposed to be locked, but the inmate is tugging on that door. So first thing is the inmate that tugged on that door had to leave his cell to tug on that door because that was some 2 hours after they were supposedly locked in their cell. So the inmate that was captured tugging on that cell means they got out of their cell. There should have been a notification. And if the cell wasn't locked, the panel in the control booth should have indicated that it wasn't locked. So he's tugging on that door and he pulls it open. If that door is locked, you can wrap a chain around the bumper of a truck and not pull that door open. But he's pulling on it because the locking mechanism has been compromised because inmates have clogged the locking mechanism with toilet paper. So they know that it's closed. The inmate knows that it's closed, but he knows it's not locked. And he's tugging on it, and eventually he gets it open. But apparently, the person that was supposed to be in the booth watching it, looking at the camera feeds, and looking at the cell panel that's determining whether the cells are open or closed, they decided to go to lunch. So there's literally nobody watching that. Now, this is information that's released by the sheriff's office. So this is going to be what the sheriff is officially saying in all of this. We may find out that, that there may be new disclosures in all of this, but all of this is based on either the videos that have been released and or what the sheriff has reported in this. So sometime between 12:23 and 1 a.m., at least 5 other cells are open because a total of 10 inmates poured through the hole in the wall that was created from the cell that was being tugged on, and a toilet was removed from the wall, exposing a hole in the wall. So 10 inmates that weren't in that cell escaped through that hole in the wall. And between 1 a.m. and 8:30 a.m., no one noticed that the inmates were gone. So both the technology was compromised, which is the basis of the security model, and the guard. So this civilian employee that was working in the control booth apparently went to lunch. No one has disclosed when they came back from lunch.
Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrow says her office will spend the next several weeks looking at how to make the jail in New Orleans more secure in the wake of an escape nearly a week ago. She says a primary focus will be locks and doors.
We executed an arrest
on an individual who is, in fact, a maintenance worker or was a maintenance worker at the facility.
Murrow says a critical piece in preventing future escapes is making sure the Orleans Parish criminal justice system is moving cases through in an effective manner so inmates are moved quickly to more secure state prisons. 5 of the 10 escapees remain at large. Police seem to have hit a wall in the search for the remaining inmates that broke out of the New Orleans jail more than a week ago. WWL's Dave Cohen tells us the manhunt has come up empty for the last several days.
Cops haven't caught any of the escapees since Tuesday. 3 days later, they are renewing their call for the public to help find the still 5 missing escapees. Louisiana State Police is reminding people in posts and news releases that the ATF is offering a $5,000 reward, Crime Stoppers is offering a $5,000 reward, and the FBI is offering $10,000 for a total of $20,000 per inmate for tips that lead to their recapture.
NOPD reports arresting another person on charges of helping the escapees. That makes 4 arrests of people for aiding the inmates in avoiding capture.
The 2 Orleans Parish escapees who were caught near Huntsville, Texas last week are back in Louisiana. Louisiana State Police says Texas authorities transported Leo Tate and Jermaine Donald back to the Pelican State on Friday, 4 days after they were arrested following a high-speed chase. The 2 are now being held in a secure state correctional facility. Today is day 16 of the Great Orleans Parish Justice Center escape. Derek Groves and Antoine Massey remain at large. The reward for information that directly leads to their arrests is $50,000 per escapee.
6 weeks ago tomorrow, 10 inmates escaped from the Orleans Parish Jail. 2 of them remain at large, convicted murderer Derek Groves and Antoine Massey, who is facing car theft and domestic violence charges. And despite the lack of attention the escape has received over the last few weeks, police have not let up on their search.
It's not ever the case that they stop looking for people like this.
Former New Orleans Police Superintendent Ronald Surpass says the search won't get much attention in the media until Antoine Massey and Derek Groves are caught. Still, Surpass says police are working diligently to catch the escapees because they pose an immediate danger to the public.
The nature of the crimes that that Groves is convicted of and Massey is accused of are the types of crimes that the government's never going to stop looking for those people.
Surpass says law enforcement also relies on Crime Stoppers tips to lead them in the right direction. That's why he urges people who see something to say something.
That helps the police because one tip might not sound like a lot, but 6 or 7 tips often add up to some very good information.
Ian Ozan, WWL First News.
Early in the manhunt, officials said the search cost the city of New Orleans $200,000 a week. City council members we spoke to couldn't confirm that figure. We asked the mayor's office, and a spokesperson there said they'd get back to us.
We start with a developing story in New Orleans. 6 weeks to the day after 10 inmates escaped from a New Orleans jail, authorities arrest a 9th escapee.
That we now have Antoine Massey, one of the escapees, in custody.
That's NOPD Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick announcing that federal marshals, state police, and NOPD officers made that arrest around 3:30 this afternoon at a home on Strollett Street in Hollygrove. A Crime Stoppers tip led authorities to that location. Only one escapee remains at large. That's Derek Groves, a convicted murderer. State Police Superintendent Robert Hodges says Groves will be caught.
We will not rest, even if it takes another 6 days or another 6 weeks, until the last fugitive is in custody.
If you know where Groves is, call 911 or Crime Stoppers at 822-1111.
After 5 months on the lam, New Orleans jail escapee Derek Groves, the last of the 10 who broke out of OPP in May, has been caught. U.S. Marshals and Atlanta authorities captured Groves late this morning. Groves was the only one of the escapees who'd already been convicted, in his case, second-degree murder. And New Orleans DA Jason Williams today said he was relieved that the man he put behind bars the first time is behind bars again.
Derek Groves has to get lucky every single time, and law enforcement has to get lucky once. And that happened today, thank God.
Sheriff Susan Hudson thanked U.S. Marshals and Georgia authorities, and Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrow said Groves will be prosecuted for his role in the escape.
Authorities will be working today to try and bring convicted killer Derek Groves back to Louisiana after the jail escapee was caught after 5 months on the lam yesterday.
If Derek Groves waives extradition, bringing him back to Louisiana to face justice shouldn't take too long, or he could choose to do it the hard way.
If he fights extradition, eventually law enforcement would have to secure a governor's warrant to have him extradited back to Louisiana. Louisiana.
Brian Fair with the U.S. Marshals Service told WWL-TV extradition isn't the only thing to come. The investigation continues into who helped Groves evade authorities for the entire summer and start of fall.
If it's determined that people helped him while he was on the run, they could definitely face charges.
Chris Miller, WWL First News.
We start with breaking news. Escaped Orleans Parish jail inmate Derek Groves is back in Louisiana. According to Louisiana State Police, troopers along with FBI agents and federal marshals flew Groves from Atlanta to Baton Rouge before putting him on a helicopter to a secure state penitentiary. Authorities did not say which prison they sent Groves to.